When I say the name Subaru, the first car that probably comes to mind for you is an Outback, a Forester, or WRX. But what if I told you enthusiasts like myself, the first thing we think of are 360s and brats? Basically, Subaru's like a dad who had a punk band back in the 80s and decided not to tell you about it. You just had to be there, son. So today, I'm gonna talk to two of the coolest Subaru fanatics that I know and prove once for all that not only is Subaru the premier automaker for weirdos, but also one of the great innovators in automotive history. You might be wondering how I personally got into Subarus. Well, it all started with this one. This is a 1996 Subaru SVX that I found at a buy here, pay here across the street from the restaurant that I was working at during high school. An SVX is probably the worst Subaru to ever start with because this is the one they sold the least of, but I loved it. So after college, this got totaled. But then I found this on Facebook. This is the XT6. Wow. With the SVX motor in it. Engine was blown when I first got it, put a new motor in it, got it running during COVID, and drove it around. The goal with this one was to be my race car because this was fat and slow. I needed something quick and fast. It never quite got there. This has been the project that I've been trying to kind of make my flagship, but unfortunately it never got that because now I have the Brat. So this is a 1983 Subaru Brat. This is a second generation. This second gen Brat has the dual range trans, so it has a low range as well as a high range, which is awesome. I love this car. So these are three really weird Subarus, but the funny thing is this is a 1983. The Brat came out in the 70s, and Subaru's been making weird cars long before that. And I happen to know the perfect guy to show us exactly what those weird cars are. Bill.
And now.
My guy. How's it going, man?
Well, you know, another day, another Subaru.
Bill loves Subaru more than anyone I know. He's been operating this garage for over 8 years, working exclusively on preserving and updating Subarus from every era you can imagine, as well as some of the cars that inspired what Subaru is today.
Welcome to my Japanese junkyard.
Yeah, that's, I wouldn't say a junkyard. Most of the stuff works, maybe.
In Japan, they just park their cars and walk away.
But I do know you don't just have Japanese stuff. You actually have something that predates Subaru itself and set the path for Subaru.
That's funny you say that because, yeah, I got the Borgward Goliath is where Subaru got all their boxer motors from.
Borgward Goliath was a German car manufacturer founded in 1928 that specialized in three-wheel vehicles. But after the Second World War, the company had ambitions of competing with larger German brands in the passenger car market. Why do we care about this little random German car company? Well, let's just say that there was something they had that Subaru wanted.
So over here, this is the engine for your Brat. And here is the Borgward Goliath engine.
Oh, wow.
Look at how similar they are.
Yeah. Not only are these similar, but even this old motor still kind of looks exactly like what they still use today.
Yeah, yeah, essentially, it's flat. You got the water pump in front driven by the crank, and you got the generator driven by the crank. The same thing as you got from all the way back in 1957.
57, and that's what, 70s or 80s?
This is 80s, so this would be
80s?
This would be yours, so 82.
Yeah. Why a boxer engine? Well, it has a low center of gravity, which gives the vehicle better handling. They also are naturally balanced mechanically and are relatively simple. The vertical profile is compact and just so happens to be very efficient for all-wheel drive due to the longitudinal drivetrain.
This is a 58 Goliath. It's got the 4-cylinder boxer motor in it.
It's incredible because this reminds me of a Subaru engine bay.
Yeah.
Where the steering rack is, where the suspension is, you have the space where that tire could go, like the early ones. You have your carburetor right on top. Not much changed.
Not really, not really.
So obviously Subaru actually was existing when the Goliath was being made for them to go buy the tooling. What was Subaru actually putting out at the same time all this was happening?
Well, much like Goliath, they were also experimenting with the 2-cylinder, 2-stroke motors because it had a lot of torque and you can get it for almost nothing because post-war, there wasn't any money for anything.
Okay.
So Subaru actually had a 2-cylinder, 2-stroke car of their own. And it's really ingenious how they did the 2-stroke so you didn't have to mix it. it mixed it on its own.
What car was that?
That was the Subaru 360.
The 360 was Subaru's first mass-produced car, the first Subaru sold in the United States, and the first mass-produced K car in Japan. It was also, as you can see here, very weird.
But this is Subaru's first model. They were like, what are we gonna do for the American market? We gotta make something, because they wanted to be an American car company. I don't know how or where this came from, but they did.
The 360 was marketed to younger buyers, as it tailored the 360 Young S to what the company understood to be of interest to young Americans, with features like an especially indented roof for mounting a surfboard and, on some models, a built-in Hula Girl dash ornament. Basically, Subaru saw Elvis and the Beach Boys and thought, yeah, that's enough research. Why is it calling itself ugly?
Well, that was a Volkswagen deal. They took the same PR firm from Volkswagen, Cheap and Ugly Does It, and what killed them was, at the end of '69, Consumer Reports said, unsafe at any speed, ugly to boot, buy yourself a Volkswagen.
Bill, what is your favorite thing about the 360s? Because obviously you have the most of them here.
You cannot drive these cars without a smile. It's bouncy, it's mirthful, it just goes wherever you want it to go. I mean, look, we could pick this car up. This is a 1,000-pound car. No problem. Wow. And of course the engine is the heavier side, but you can't do that with many other cars. Well, come on in, the 360. You'll fit. What, how tall are you, 5'10"?
Yeah.
There you go, you're just perfect.
Oh my God.
Oh, we got plenty of room here. I'm not even touching your shoulder right now. Can you shift?
Clutch for a second. Oh my God, I'm all over the pedals though.
You gotta get your skinny shoes.
Yeah. As cool as the 360 truck is and the van and the little cars over there with the surfboards, this wasn't working in America. So where does Subaru go from here?
It's funny because actually people were throwing these cars off the docks because it was Japanese. And you gotta understand that not only were they small, underpowered, and unsafe, apparently at any speed, but they were Japanese. This was post-World War II, so the Union members would toss them off of the docks when they were coming in. Subaru had to get another car, and that wound up being the FF1.
The 360 was out, and Subaru was falling short of making any kind of splash in the US market. But the 70s had some strange things in store as Subaru continued to evolve. So what does FF1 even stand for?
I do not know.
Really?
FF1. And there you have it. This is the spare tire. Would actually go up around there. This is your heater core right here.
Whoa.
So they didn't put the heater core inside. They put it right here, which makes sense because you're just gonna borrow the radiator fluid anyway.
Right.
And then it just sends it around here. Yeah. Yeah, and this is the beginning of their legacy. It's 1100 cc, it jumped up to 1200, very bad. So then it jumped up to 1300 after that.
So the start of Subaru's legacy is really right about here, because now we're finally at the flat 4-cylinder. They just haven't gotten to 4-wheel drive yet.
4-wheel drive didn't happen until the mid-70s. And the greatest thing about their 4-wheel drive is you didn't have to get outside of the car and lock the hubs.
Yeah,
you could just
like
do
old
it
trucks.
From inside of the car. And that was one of the things that made me fall in love with Subaru. You can see down there, this one's got the front wheel drive and 4-wheel drive selector.
Whoa.
Right there. So
is this forward or backwards?
Exactly.
Amazing. Following the release of the FF1, Subaru released the Leon. Although it was not available in the US, the Leon was a global success from the moment it premiered in 1971. The Boxer engine and included 4-wheel drive platform was actually kind of revolutionary, as it made the Leon the first mass-produced 4-wheel drive passenger car. This platform would become the defining characteristic of Subaru all the way through the modern age, but more importantly to me, it gave Subaru the confidence to take another big swing in the US, and in 1978, the Brat was introduced.
What's up, guys? Where can I get a vape refill around here?
Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 25 years, you know Bucky from the X Games, where he has won medals for both skateboarding and rally racing. What was he driving? Take a guess. Bucky!
What's up,
man.
boys?
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's good to see you.
Look at that.
We-
this is Bill.
We lost Bill.
Oh, look at this. This is 80s
it right here. This
cheese right here, the best of it. This is beautiful. What year, 82, 83?
This is the 84.
84.
So one of the big differences between my Subaru Brat and Bucky's is Bucky used a lot of OEM parts. Mine is 100% custom that some guy built in the early 2000s or maybe the 90s. But this one is all done by Bucky and his daughter, complete restoration. Give us a rundown. What all did you have
I mean,
to do?
you know what? I'd like to bring Paris in. This is the woman of the hour right here.
So what made you want to get a Brat?
He took over the Impreza
Uh-huh.
when I got my license and everything, and I was driving around an F-150.
So you got used to a
Right?
truck.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that's exactly what Subaru wanted when they came out with these. It was supposed to be a small work truck for people to have because they had a lot of wagons, but they ran into the chicken tax.
Exactly.
The Brat was Subaru's attempt at getting into the small truck market in the US and was modeled off of the Leon wagon, but instead of the wagon rear, Subaru opted for a pickup bed. The Brat sold pretty well in the US and Australia, all things considered, but maybe the weirdest and quirkiest aspect of the Brat were the rear-facing plastic jump seats. These were included to make sure the car would classify as a passenger truck and avoid the 25% tariff on imported trucks at the time, otherwise known as the chicken tax.
This is only called the Brat in the United States, by the way. Bidirectional, recreational, all-terrain transport. It's an acronym. Everywhere else is called the Brumby, right?
Yeah.
Or the Subaru pickup.
Subaru hasn't had a lot of long-running cars up until the Brat, and the Brat went 2 generations, even with how weird it is. What stopped it? Why do we not have the Brat anymore?
The Brat failure is because the back seat. That was its winner and its loser. In the
Dang.
87, someone rolled one of these Brats and the passenger in the back got paralyzed, and so they sued, and they sued the United States government and the Japanese government and Subaru, and it all got settled out of court, but Subaru was no longer able to produce the Brat. They decided too much of a liability.
Wow. Subaru seemed to have tried everything to have their breakthrough in the US market, but having only had marginal success with the Brat, the only logical idea would be to give it a go in a totally new field, like sports cars. So you might remember my XT6 from my driveway. This one is an amalgamation of all things Subaru to make this one continue to survive and be fast. But Bill here has an actual bone stock one that we can look at all the quirks and features that it came with. So let's go look at that one.
Yeah, let's go look at that one, Bill.
Yeah, let's go check this out. My little gold beauty.
Yeah, so it has the air ride suspension, it has the 6-cylinder symmetrical all-wheel drive, and the locking diff. You got a key for it?
Jose, do you know where my key is?
Highlight for me in this particular car,
And it's got the rear
The rack spoiler?
the rack spoiler. These are gold. Get out of here.
And so
Get
that
out of
lifts
here.
all the way
So I
up.
was wondering, how do you clean your window?
Yeah. Well, I don't, but yes, that would be how I would.
So some of the cool features of the XT and the XT6, because this is the end of the line, is it came with air ride suspension.
Electric assisted power steering,
Right,
which it
electric
has a
assisted.
whole nother type of fluid you have to get, which is much more expensive than normal
Exactly.
power steering fluid.
Depending on your speed, it changes how heavy the steering gets. The XT in general is literally Subaru throwing everything at the wall and trying to make something stick. And you know what ended up sticking? The symmetrical all-wheel drive. And that brings us to the SVX. This engine was developed inside of this car, but this time Subaru hired a designer. Oh my God.
An Italian designer.
Now, for those of you who don't know anything about the SVX or didn't get the backstory when I drove mine across the country a couple months ago, here's a little background. The SVX was the direct successor to the XT as Subaru's next attempt at breaking into the sport luxury car world. The SVX came exclusively equipped with a 3.3 flat 6, which made about 231 horsepower and was all-wheel drive. But where it stood out was the looks.
This was the most expensive car Subaru had made up until that point.
And that was the problem. because with everything they had been trying, this was the most powerful engine they had made up until that point, and they didn't have a transmission that could keep up with it. They also didn't have the money to develop a manual for it, and then there was a recession.
And I can tell you partly why that is because Subaru owners are cheapskates. We saw the other ones in there. You see how bare they are and how non-luxurious they are. Well, this was their first luxury thing. And if you're used to spending $10,000 on a car, $12,000 maybe, now you're spending $32,000.
BMW money. The mistake Subaru made, unlike every other Japanese manufacturer making luxury cars, they rebranded it as a different brand. So you had Honda and Acura. You had Nissan and Infiniti. You had Toyota and Lexus. But Subaru just said, no, leave it as a Subaru. The design is the first thing that appealed to me because Giorgetto and Idle Design, they know how to make a sexy car. And to me, the SVX had always looked good. I played a lot of Gran Turismo and Forza growing up, and this was in Gran Turismo 2 as a car that you had to find. You couldn't just buy it. And I remember getting beat by 3 of them every race. And I was like, what is that car? So when I saw one for sale, I had to go drive it. I fell in love with it and I bought it. And then that sent me down my Subaru line, but Bucky took a different route.
I did. Yeah, so I started off building the Brat and then I acquired a couple of cars. One of them being an SVX that I had planned on rebuilding as a project car for my wife. Lo and behold, my daughter turned 17 and I was like, she showed interest in the SVX. She was like, I love that car. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna restore it for you instead. It's become my daughter's first car.
So what do you think about the SVX compared to all the Subarus you've owned over time? Where's this one sit?
It is by far exactly what it was designed to be. Subaru's sports luxury car.
Yes.
I love driving it. It drives great. The 4E transmission, it's fine for daily driving. I'm not hammering on it. It's an easy, comfortable ride.
Yep.
And you can go 65, 70 miles an hour with the windows down and it barely blows your hair.
And you've got Naugahyde and suede and leather just ensconced.
Materials
all
are
around.
so, like even mine that sat in the sun, sat in the fields, it's a little ashy, but it's still very comfortable. Like this is a very well-built car. And it's crazy because this was on the showroom at the Japanese Auto Show, and they said, everyone loves it, go ahead and print, go, go, go. Yeah. And not much changed from the original concept, but Giorgetto definitely had a lot of inspiration from that car. And without the XT6, this car would have been something completely different. The SVX was discontinued in 1997, but by that time, Subaru had finally started to figure out the formula. The introduction of the Outback in 95 and the Forester in 98 had yielded the results Subaru was looking for with the average consumers. And when the Impreza premiered in 93, Subaru started its breakthrough in the performance and racing world. So unfortunately for me, no more need for weird niche swings. Subaru was finally cooking for everybody. And essentially after the SVX, they figured it out, right? So they know they don't necessarily need the flat 6 because it's breaking everything. So they went back to the 4-cylinder with this awesome, 2.2 closed deck, capable, high horsepower.
Efficient.
Yeah, and then that is where all the rally stuff came in. They didn't change much, but it's because they figured out the perfect formula. And that's what set Subaru to, one, continue to survive all the recessions and everything else, but
to this day,
but they also gave everyone else the heads up, like the CVT.
The CVT transmission from the Justy was awful when it came out, and no one knew how to work on it. It would last 60,000 miles and the clutches would burn out. And then none of the mechanics knew how to work on it. It had a powder clutch that would do the changing of the gears. Now it's a valve body, just like the 4E-ATs. So they put the 4E-AT technology into the CVT, and now every car has that. There's Mazdas that have that. Any hybrid vehicle has the CVT, because how are you going to get the power from both the combustion engine and the electric engine with different torques to work seamlessly into a transmission?
And that's just one example of technology that Subaru figured out and everyone else is using.
They have almost as many patents as Mercedes.
Incredible. Well, Guys, I hope you learned something new about Subaru. Subaru is an amazing car company, so before you make fun of it, think about all the history and everything else that has gone into Subaru's goofy technology. They tried everything under the sun, eventually sort of perfected everything, and they're still different from everyone else at the same time. These are true enthusiast vehicles. I mean, you can keep one running for 40 years worth of parts from different lines of different Subarus. So I mean, it's incredible. So thank you again so much for watching. Thank you, Bucky. Thank you, Bill, for coming out and showing all your stuff. We're gonna go for a drive. So bye for now.